One of my first Battlecruisers in this game was the Prophecy. I used to fly this ship back when I mostly used drones. The Prophecy is one very popular and one of the best ships for the price. Definitely very curious to see how how much did this ship change in the last 2 or 3 years. So let's take a look at the ship details, at the ship info. The Prophecy has a very nice bonus plus 15 kilometers drone command range and can fit command burst modules. Advanced medium drone upgrade bonus will give you plus 30% drone damage, plus 5% drone flight velocity, and the Battlecruiser command bonus will give you plus 4% armor resistance. Now the Prophecy is known to be one very tanky Battlecruiser, if not the tankiest Battlecruiser in the game. The ship has 5 drones. Oh, what is this? Well, this window is new. Back a couple days ago when I clicked on this, that did not happen. 3 high slots, 3 medium slots, 5 low slots, 3 combat and 3 engineering rigs. Overall, solid defense. Now the Prophecy is a armor tank, and please don't shield tank your Prophecy, and don't even attempt to use a hybrid tank. Basically, don't combine shield and armor tank on the ship. The Prophecy is primarily a armor tank, so don't shield tank the ship. A very solid capacitor, decent recharge rate, 13.18 gigajoule per second is the recharge rate in 1 second. Can lock 6 targets. Signature radius and scan resolution are okay. Sender strength is also pretty okay. The Prophecy is a slow Battlecruiser. Don't be surprised if this thing is slow. After all, the Prophecy is not known to be the fastest cruiser, the fastest Battlecruiser in the game. Okay, well, time to go on the build for this ship. Now I have a couple builds in mind. First, I decided to go and build this ship a little bit cheaper. That means no expensive modules on this ship, although you can use C-types without a problem. However, for this build I did go and attempt to make it a little bit cheaper. Now the Prophecy can use command burst modules. The armor command burst can give you some pretty good armor resistances, and of course it works really well if you are in a fleet. However, it can also be used if you are solo. You do get a very nice effect for the armor. I have Valkyrie drones over here, a lot of them, 5 of them, and in the cargo hold I also have infiltrator drones for EM damage, and in the low slots I have dual adaptives, armor repair, capacitor battery, and an afterburner. 60, 48, 64 and 62% are the resistance values. Once the armor command burst module is activated, it will give you plus 11.26% armor, which can make this ship very tanky. And after all, the Prophecy is known to be a very tanky ship. The armor resistance can make the Prophecy very difficult to shoot down. As for the rigs, I have one auxiliary nanopump and dual classic rigs. Basically all the classic rigs are installed, no integrations. I covered all the resistance holes on the armor, and I also focused the ship on power grid and capacitor. Basically I wanted to be able to use one large armor repairer. Now you can build the Prophecy for DPS with dual drone damage amplifiers, and the DPS did go up quite a bit. You can increase the DPS even more if you swap the combat rigs for drone damage rigs, but in this case I will keep the Prophecy with this current tanky build. Still, that is definitely some pretty good armor resistance. You can also swap the command burst module into a Nosferatu. Large Nosferatu also works with dual medium armor repairs, or one medium Nosferatu with one large armor repair and a capacitor battery, and the capacitor is stable with everything up and running, which is very nice. Of course, you can swap the web for a command burst module. That also works without a problem. Now, as for the implants, the prophecy works really well with basically all drone implants, but I would personally recommend that you use the Bombard Implant. The Bombard Implant is really good for both PvP and pretty useful when you are running a low sec mission and you get jumped by a Stratius or something similar. The drone bombs are really good if you have to defend yourself against incoming ships that plan to shoot down your ship. Is highly effective against Stratius ships, highly effective against Mordu ships, especially against the Ortus, and basically effective against any cruiser in the game. Now, with the current setup, 2470 armor repair every 10.9 seconds, and honestly that should be enough. After all, the prophecy will have some pretty solid armor resistances even without the command burst module. The prophecy is a very lethal ship, especially if you are flying a Ortus or any other ship without a tank. Drones shred ships that have no tank, and the prophecy is one very cheap ship that can do that without a problem. So that's basically how I would fly the prophecy. Now, I really like the command version of the ship. The command prophecy is very lethal and definitely a solid upgrade over the tier 8 prophecy. Now, you can also use a dual armor repair build with a large Nosferatu. Should be easy on the capacitor, but the repairs might be a little bit lower, but it's okay. You can definitely adjust the rigs to compensate for that. Definitely a lot of possibilities with the builds on the prophecy, and the capacitor lasts 6 minutes and 38 seconds, which is honestly really solid for a ship like this, and this is without any capacitor batteries. With the capacitor battery and with the medium Nosferatu, the capacitor with the large armor repair is stable. Well then, I think it will be time to also tell you one more thing about this ship. I will be giving away this prophecy. Basically, you can pick what kind of build you want. If you want the DPS build or the tank build, you will tell me that in the comments. But this ship here is going to be on the giveaway, and in order to participate, all you need to do is comment down below, like and subscribe, and within 24 to 48 hours I will pick a winner that will receive this prophecy. So basically this prophecy is built in a very similar way as I did show before. If you want the exact same build from the first part of the video, feel free to tell me. I'll be changing the rigs and modules, and the ship will be sent to you within 24 or 48 hours. This is the fit, the drones, the modules. You will also get extra drones in the drone bay. I think I will leave 5 more drones in the drone bay so that you have extra drones in case you lose the current Valkyries. Well then, it will be time to see how this prophecy works. Now, I used to fly the prophecy, like I mentioned before, 2 years ago, and back then the story missions and encounter missions were working a lot differently. And the trick was to use large group armor repairs, and that was enough to sustain the armor of the ship. But now, with all the different changes, that is not really a good build anymore, so a build like this is going to replace those old school builds on the prophecy. One interesting fact for the prophecy: most of our current corp members were invited in a corp after they got destroyed on our home system, on the 6C gate, and most of them at the time were actually flying prophecies. And I remember every single one of them. I actually have a list of the of the corp mates that we have destroyed with the prophecy back in the day. And back then it was, so much different. The game does feel a lot different, although the basic principle of the game is still the same. However, back then, players that were destroyed were definitely a lot less salty, and we did meet a lot of our corp members by shooting them down on that very gate, which is a very interesting thing. And overall, that's why the prophecy will have always a special place for me. That's the ship that helped forming our corporation, and for that I'm very grateful for the prophecy. I'm very grateful on the prophecy's help to achieve that. Now I'm orbiting at 18 kilometers. You can actually swap the normal medium missile launchers into rapid missile launchers or into torpedo launchers if you prefer more of a close range combat. But if you plan to orbit at 34-35 kilometers, then the medium missiles are the way to go. Now, of course, you could technically use a micro overdrive and orbit at 35 kilometers. It's actually a very good tactic. And if you're orbiting and constantly moving, then you will be a very difficult target for any pirate that will warp in. Perfect example, in my, I think, last Stratios roam, I was having a lot of difficulties to pinpoint on target for a couple of them actually, because they were moving around, and by the time I warp to the target they are already in a different position. So if you keep moving and if you're very careful, then a cloaky tackle will be very difficult to catch you. Now, then what about, let's say, a interceptor? Well, the prophecy has very quick drones, and the prophecy can carry light drones as well. You can also make the drones faster by using different modules, so interceptors aren't really a big problem. Even if they point you at 50 kilometers, you should have enough drone control range to send the drones towards the interceptor, and the drones will kill the interceptor very easily. Doesn't necessarily have to be an interceptor, can be an Orcus, can be any other fast cruiser, can actually even be a faction frigate. If you know how to fly the prophecy, then all those ships are not a big threat, because those ships usually don't have a good tank, and the prophecy loves to shoot ships that have no tank. The drones shred those ships to pieces, and I'm talking with my personal experience fighting these ships. The number one ship that caused most of my problems with the Ortus was a prophecy, because of the drones. The goal would be to shoot down the prophecy before the prophecy forces you to warp away, or before the prophecy shoots you down. The tier 8 prophecy is capable to do that. The command prophecy is even more lethal, so those ships are even more difficult to tackle and hold. Now, the Ashimo, for example, can be a problem. The Ashimo can tank, however, it's not that tanky. After flying the ship for 2 years, the Ashimo does have its weakness. It's no perfect ship by any means, but it's one of the scariest ships that you might encounter, and with a very good build you can fight an Ashimo with the prophecy, including the prophecy to command. But in order to fight the Ashimo, you would have to change the build a little bit. You definitely will have to use a capacitor battery in order to maintain a capacitor. If it's a shield tank Ashimo, then you could technically force it away with the current build, because after the shield of the Ashimo is gone, then the Ashimo does not have a good tank. So a prophecy in the right hands can be a very terrifying ship. Now, I plan to fly the prophecy to command into PvP. I also plan to fly much of the other Battlecruisers as well. But currently I'm also working on a new cruiser. Basically, there are some ships that I want to fly, especially some new miniature ships that might be very interesting.
Enemy ships detected.
After I obtained the Barrage Implant, the only ship that I have been flying was the only ships that I have been flying were miniature ships and angel ships. Of course, there is the revelation here and there, but most of the time I have been flying the miniature ships. Because of the Barrage Implant, that thing is ridiculous. Well, it looks like I am being shot at by large missiles. Well, one of these ships has a large missile launcher. That's very interesting. There are some torpedo launchers and medium missiles, but there are some large missiles as well. Large rapid missiles. Well, not quite sure what build those ships are using, but by the effect I can tell you that I'm being hit by a large rapid missile launcher. Not really sure what ship is shooting them at me, but one of them is doing that, so very interesting choice of weapons for those ships. And if you're worried about the capacitor in PvP, that's not a really big problem. The skirmish command bonus can make your webs and scramblers have 16-kilometer range, and that is going to help you a lot in PvP. You know, when I think about it, basically all ships in the right hands have the potential to be very, very lethal, especially if you consider the fact that most ships have like 13-kilometer range with the scramblers and webs. Well, the Prophecy, because of the command burst module, especially because of the skirmish command boost, they can have slightly more range. So that means you can web and scramble them before they can web and scramble you, and that's already a massive advantage in PvP. I really wish that I spent a lot more time with the Battlecruisers. They are very fun ships, and definitely have a very nice potential to be very lethal. Currently, I'm mostly running with cruisers. I actually forgot that I was also flying the Stratius. I fly that thing every day, but I forgot that I fly it. The Stratius is in a very weird spot. It's definitely not a ship that's interesting. However, it's the best tackle ship in the game. So that's one thing why I fly it. And I'll just say right now, I also plan to fly the Stabber 2. The Stabber 2 is supposedly the Vagabond in this game, so that ship should be fun. I already have a build that I have to try out. Honestly, when I looked at the ship, I was a little bit confused on how to build it. Definitely a very weird ship to build, but I did manage to come up with a build for it, so in a couple days, when I have enough footage for the Stabber 2, you will see that thing in action. Hopefully it will run really well. I also have the sleeper nanocore for the Stabber, so basically have dual damage controls on the ship, and I'll be honest, that is evil. Dual damage controls on that cruiser should be fun, because the Stabber does have a bonus on damage control activation time. It lasts 5 more seconds, so that's around 50 seconds of 95% resistance on the Stabber. On the shield, of course, I will use the ship as a shield tank. Basically, we'll try to mirror the Vagabond tank from Evil Knight. Still wish that the ship had the Vagabond ship model with the fins. A very good looking ship in any case. And the sleep banana core is also looking really nice, honestly. Did not expect to have the core looking that good, but it does look very nice. And I got the core for free from one of the events before. The first thing I got was actually the core for the medium ship classes. And I think I got a little bit lucky on that one, but not really sure. But now back to the prophecy. The capacitor holds really well. The armor holds really well. Overall, a very solid experience with this ship so far.
Detected.
No complaints
We're under attack.
from me. I remember when I was flying this thing for the first time, I think I complained about the speed because at the time I was flying the RB cover tops and I was doing a really good job with that ship. Because of that ship I got into PvP, and that's the ship that I used to learn how to PvP on. But the RB was super fast. That thing was going like 2.5 to 3 kilometers per second at the time, and I got used to fly fast ships because of the RB. So I was really uncomfortable in flying slow ships. But now, after flying battleships, after flying bricks, dreadnoughts, carriers, and all that thing, and all these things, I got pretty used to fly slow ships. Slow ships are also really fun, and they also get the job done without a problem. Now, one ship that did surprise me with the speed was the Prophecy to Command. I thought that thing would be super slow. Well, I was wrong. That thing is actually quick. Especially if you add the skirmish module. It makes the ship go faster. And yeah, the Prophecy to Command, while being tanky, it also can have really good speed. And all that combined makes that thing really ridiculous and really strong. And well, I will fight at one point in PvP, of course. There is a lot of ships that I covered lately. The Cyclone to Command was also one of my favorites. That thing is fun. With the missile implant, the Cyclone to Command is actually ridiculous. And is it just me, or did they improve the graphics lately? Because for some reason this ship looks very pretty. Still not really sure if they changed that. I always play on Ultra. I don't really reduce the graphics in this game. It's a very pretty game. But I'm pretty sure that they have changed the graphics a little bit. Definitely looks improved. Or perhaps I haven't been paying attention to the ship models. Okay, let's see. Now you can save the capacitor. You don't have to run the armor repairs at all time. Basically, you can repair when the ship takes enough damage. Of course, don't forget to repair. Not really sure if I ever forgot to repair. I think I didn't. But I know some of my friends sometimes forget to repair and they hit hull. So it's very important to be careful and to avoid taking a lot of serious damage. Okay, let me orbit the next ship. Okay, sorry for the weird cut. I had to go and destroy one oracle with the stabber too, so I had to pause for a second. So, so far, I have to say that the prophecy is still performing just like it used to. One of the ships that hasn't changed much over time. .23 kilometer range on the missiles. The C types cost a lot more, but also do a little bit more damage. So that's basically the difference between the C types and the current missiles that I use, which honestly is not a big problem. And I think this is the last ship of this mission. And I also think that I have some pretty good thumbnail for this video. For some reason, this space right here looks very nice. So I'm pretty sure I'll be able to make a very nice looking thumbnail with that, and with this ship of course. I thought about buying another core for this ship, but unfortunately I haven't seen any of them on market. Perhaps I clicked on the wrong regional sale, who knows, but you can get a pretty good nanocore for this ship. I think the Blood Raider nanocore is really good for the prophecy, especially good if you use a Nosferatu that will enhance the energy absorption from your targets, and it will improve the capacitor on the ship by a lot. Well then, the last ship of the mission has been destroyed, and again, the prophecy is a very solid and a very fun to fly ship. So with that being said, hope that you enjoyed. Fly safe, stay safe, fly safe, and as always, I'll see you next time.